Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this morning's episode of Monday Motivation. So, first of all, thank you so much for the lovely messages from last week. I had a slight change of plan quite last minute because I was over on the BBC. I was on BBC 5 Live radio and they did a bit of video footage as well. So I had to be in their studios bright and early. I was there just before 7 a.m. last week. And because of their rules in reception and security and everything else like that, it meant that I wasn't able to do any kind of broadcast. And I was hoping that I might be able to get away with broadcasting just before, a little bit earlier or a little bit later. But sadly, it wasn't meant to be. So thank you so, so much. And really, I wanted to continue the theme in a way because even though, you guys are, morning, good, everything's working because for some reason I can't send messages, like responses to messages from my account, which is really weird. So I'm going to say good morning to Ivona and good morning to Teresa. So why has, some ways to boost yourself. What has that got to do with last week? Let me string it all together for you. Now, whether you are a professional who is running your own business and self-employed, or whether you're a professional who's employed and maybe you're at senior management level and looking to go up, maybe you're exec level and looking to go further, maybe you're at junior level and looking at your own career progression. The one thing that I know about the Visibility Vibe system, it's really a system that helps you get your visibility a little bit more predictable. And even for me as a self-employed business, I need more people to hear what I'm helping them with, more people to hear what they're talking about. Hey, Janita, good to see you. Thank you so much for saying hi and popping by. So many of you will need more people to either know about what you do, whether you're employed or self-employed. You'll need more people to know about the value that you bring. So I thought this morning it would be really apt, given like literally the gazillion messages that you get after you've done this kind of very, very public work. I thought I would just share three things that will help to boost your week, and you can take them and use them as you like. So whilst I prepare for you to line that up, I want you to think about where you are right now, and what you would like as kind of the next piece for your own career progression, whether you're employed, whether you're self-employed. So think about where you are now and what you would like for the next piece of your career progression. And while I'm at it, nosy by nature, as always, I can see a few people have popped on. And some of you are watching and haven't commented, and that's fine. But for those of you that like to comment, let us know where in the world you're watching from, because I can see some of you are a pretty international audience. For some of you, it's Good Morning Monday, bright and early, and for others, it's late evening on Sunday, I noticed. So just type in the box, let us know where you're watching from. I've already been in communication, or tried to be in communication, with somebody in Australia, and if you are watching, for some reason, when I'm trying to send the message, it's not going through. So I will communicate with you in a different way. So what did I want to say? Oh, the other thing that I want to say before I forget, by way of announcement, and then I'll let you know where people are watching from, is that if you look at the banner at the top of this page, it talks about a career Kickstarter. It's a 60-minute online seminar, like a webinar really, but it's going to be packed full of juicy nuggets. So if you are available and free tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and of course you might be watching this, you might have missed this by the time you watch this back. If you're watching this on Tuesday, the 19th of November, at 8 p.m. UK time, which makes it about 10 a.m. In certain parts of the States, it makes it 9 p.m. in Europe, and I think it makes it first thing in the morning in Australia, and check your time zone. But if you are about, what I'd ask you to do straight after this Facebook Live is to go to the top of the page. You'll see a link in there. If you can't find the link, or you're impatient, or you like to multitask, it's thequeenofbeingseen.com/ VIP. If you go over to that page, you'll be able to register your space, because I've had to limit the spaces for this seminar. You'll be able to register your space, and you're going to receive like loads of juicy tips about kickstarting your career, with ways to keep doing that even after the 60-minute seminars. So that said, I will acknowledge those of you who aren't too shy, and you're saying good morning. So we've got Susan James, yay! Now, Susan, thank you so much for watching. She's in Toronto, Canada. Thank you for watching. So that must mean it's your Sunday night. Probably late on a Sunday night. So thank you so much for watching and commenting and taking part. I adore you for doing that. Thank you. We have the lovely Ivona, who's in London. I know it's South London. So hi, Ivona. Thank you so much. In fact, Ivona's not too far away from where I am, as the crow flies, I guess. We have Charisha, and Charisha is in Hertfordshire, UK. Yay! So for those of you that are outside of the UK, you've got the central hub of London. Charisha's just on the outskirts, in an area I would say was a bit more green than London can be sometimes. And Susan said it's, oh gosh, 2 a.m. on a Monday. Thank you, like huge thank you. What a way to boost your Monday. And hopefully you'll go to sleep refreshed, have these ideas rolling around your head, and then you'll get up and be in action. So back to today's topic. If you were looking to give yourself a boost, now you might be watching this and saying, oh, but my career doesn't need a boost. That's fine. Use this for something else. So the first thing that I need you to do is think about one specific area. There might be a few, and that's fine, but think of one specific area where you feel that you could use a boost. You could use a boost, and maybe, especially with the time of year that it is, we're starting to come into the kind of the descent towards the end of the year and the ascent into the end of next year, which, you know, funny enough for somebody who talks about visibility in terms of like what you can see going forward, isn't 2020 vision the perfect analogy for that, for being able to see where you want to go next, what you want to do next, how you want to be next, how you want to show up in the world. So so think about the thing, one of those things, and if you've got more, write them down anyway. If you journal, this is a good exercise to journal on, and if you are a sporadic journaler, a bit like me, then maybe write some bullet points down so that you capture the other things that you want to do first. So now you've thought of the thing. So for so many people, they want career progression. And the reason that I bring this out is because I'm just thinking back even to this year. This year, I've probably been on BBC Radio between 6 to 8 times. About 6 to 8 times, and every time I'm brought back on, the topic is around careers, and they'll introduce me as a business and career coach, kind of, and life if you want to add that onto it, but they'll get me to comment on things to do with career, to do with business, and I'm able to bring the visibility system into that for a bit more predictable visibility. And I've seen it in clients over the years. I've seen them come to work with me. Many of them are like, oh, but I want to put myself out there on video. This is both employed and self-employed. And then they overcome that piece. They start to put themselves out there. What people don't always see is further on along the line, you might be asked to go and speak somewhere and the video piece comes in really handy. Or you might be asked to do something else and the visibility piece comes in really, really handy. Hey, Ian. Ian saying good morning to me and everyone else. Ian, we've been typing into the boxes where in the world we're watching from. We've got Canada, Toronto, Canada. We've got Hertfordshire in the UK. We've got London. We've got a few more people who are shy. I'm streaming live from London. Okay, so very close to Greenwich Park, beautiful Greenwich Park. So many people are looking at how they can boost their own visibility, how they can get out there, what they can do. So there's a couple of nuggets that I'm going to share with you. And like I say, there's going to be a lot more in the Career Kickstarter seminar, which is like an online webinar. I'm going to keep it to 60 minutes, make it short and sharp and give you lots of nuggets and let you know how you can keep doing that as well afterwards. So first thing to do is, or the first thing that I come across when I work with people, whether they are sort of, exec level employed or whether they're consultants or whether they run their own business, is clarity. It's always about clarity. How clear on you on the thing you want. It's part of the reason that I've got you to think about what you want next on here, very kind of shortened, shrunken version, but think about what you want next and then pick one that you can really start to catapult yourself with, boost yourself with, okay? Because without that clarity, it's really hard to know which direction to go into. And this became very apparent, since the BBC appearance last week. People have been coming to me and saying, I've tried this at work and this isn't working. Other people have come to me and said, no, I'm on track. I want to stand out a bit more. And they've been very specific, very clear. For example, a client had said to me just last week, I know the specific area where I need to stand out more isn't actually meetings. I do put forward my ideas in meetings, but it's what I assimilate from those meetings, the information that I get, and then the value that I know I can add. Sometimes I don't know whether it's my place to do that. And, many of you might experience that. It could be that within running even your own businesses, that you have areas of things that you want to put out. And if it's not clear to your audience, then they won't quite be sure on how to come to you, how you can help them, why you're the person to help them, and all of that stuff. So it all ties in very nicely. So clarity. You really need clarity on the specifics of what you want. And it's funny because this was highlighted to me just the end of last week. I went along and had a half private day with a coach that I've worked with many, many years ago. And I was pretty clear on what I wanted. And in articulating that to the coach, they're able to pick some more pieces and clarify it even more. So it meant that step 2, the next bit, you know where you want to go next. So one of the hardest things that we do by ourselves, and this is why I'm a massive advocate of coaching and coaches, and this is why I love the work that people like Ivona do, people like Teresa do, and people like Susan does, and people like Ian, who, by the way, is listening from Barnsley in South Yorkshire. That sounded a bit Leeds or a bit Manchester, didn't it? But, it's early, and I was out having fun all day yesterday till quite late last night. So forgive me. I don't even know why I have the energy that I've got this morning. I think it's still on the back end of my dancing and my partying from yesterday. But here's what I wanted to say. The second thing that we need to do is we need to identify where our gaps are. And this is one of the ways, regardless of whether you're an employee or self-employed, one of the ways we can trip ourselves up. It's one of the ways I certainly have tripped myself up in the past. And that's knowing that I've got a gap. It might be a gap in knowledge or a gap in skills or a gap in something to take me to my what's next. And the biggest booby trap that I see people put themselves in is that they don't acknowledge what that gap is. Now, this is not something that you have to share all over social media and have pictures of or speak about if it's not in your line of work. It's not something that you have to throw out there in the workplace and let everybody know, but it's a gap or gaps that you need to acknowledge honestly for yourself, with yourself, by yourself. And if you can't do that, then you do need to reach out to somebody and get their help. And, I see this a lot where people, what it sounds like in their head is, you know what, I'm going to figure this out. It's okay, I'm going to figure this out. Anyone watching, whether you're watching live or on the replay, ever had that? Give me a love heart so I can see some pink across the screen. Even if you only want to give one love heart, do this on your phone if you're watching your phone or on your computer. So you can do that too. So this is one of the things that's really, really important. It's not only about identifying the gap in knowledge and what we need next, but it's being truthful with ourselves. And again, the beauty of working with the mentor that I will be working with for a bit longer now, was being able to acknowledge that gap, not make myself like judged or wrong or that's really bad or that's better than somebody else or something else, but just to really, and thank you for the love hearts, by the way, just to really acknowledge the truth of where I was at, and just to share a bit more about that in case you're listening to this or watching this and thinking, I don't get that, I'm confused. Susan's saying yes with the love heart. So there's always, Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. And I say, Jenny Kovacs says, things that aren't working out leave symptoms. So it could be that you have been trying to, get more of an audience to listen to what you're doing, and it's been trickling through but not quite in the way in which you envisioned it and planned it. Because I really believe if you envision to yourself, okay, I'd like 500 people to sign up to my database or to my list, or I want to go out and have 20 sales visits for those of you that are self-employed and you go out on the field, or you want, to speak to 20 new potential clients about the work that you do, and that's not happening. That's not that it's not a success. It's not that it's a failure. It's a symptom of something that isn't working. And it's up to us to grab that and say, okay, this isn't working. How can I make this work? How can I make this happen? Quite often we kind of go, how is this going to happen? The energy is slightly different. It's not, how is this going to happen? It's, how am I going to make this happen? Or not how am I going to, how can I make this happen? And with that energy, you can get more creative in the results that you bring in. So if you see a symptom of something that's working a lot slower than you'd like, not in the way that you'd like, acknowledge that. And it's something that I still do myself quite regularly, but I do it with the help of a coach. I do it with the help of a coach. And I see a lot of people that are going out, and I spoke to a few people last week, actually. They're going out in the world and they're putting out so much juicy stuff in the world, and they're wanting to coach other people. And I say to them, so what does your coach say about it? Oh, I'm not working with a coach. I did my coaching qualification, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and I'm a really good coach. It doesn't mean that you're not a really good coach, but what it does mean is sometimes when you're not getting the help yourself, you will trundle along, trudge through, treacle, and it will feel slower. And this is what I see in the career piece as well, because I have had some gorgeous pinch me moments over the years. But do you know what? And I was saying this to a dear friend of mine yesterday. I'm not special. I'm not more special than you. You're not more special than me. I'm not brilliant and I'm not an idiot. You're not an idiot, but you are brilliant. And here's the thing. So many smart and brilliant people sometimes bypass this step because their brilliant brain takes them to I'm going to figure this out. I'm a smart cookie, I'm going to figure this out. And it can, and it will, but it takes a lot longer. And ironically, the length of time that it takes is the thing that causes the biggest frustration in smart people. So my job, as I hope a smart person, was to really look at the symptoms. If success leaves clues, then, the symptoms that are left are signs for me of where the gaps. So gaps leave symptoms, okay? So once I could see the gap, the third action and the final action to boost this for you is to start to look at, well, how can I make this happen? What specifically do I need? Who do I need to work with and in which way? Now, this sounds a really odd question because some of the time, and a lot of the time, the answer is, I don't know. And this is what I was doing just as recently as last week, looking at the symptoms. I actually wrote them down in bullet point form, not the big level of detail because I knew what that was, but what is happening, what isn't happening, what would I love to create, how can I get more? The BBC can recognise that I'm a useful and valuable asset to, being put out there and to help people with their careers. I need to be able to see that, and other people need to be able to see that too. So where, in my life, in my work, in my business, in my career, is that not working out in the way that I want it to? And then I have to be honest with myself and say, okay, Yes, it's great to be out and do things on the BBC. I've had clients that have gone from being slightly invisible to now being more visible and doing things in the press, on TV, here on Facebook, growing their audience, doing what they love every day. And here's the other thing about work. When you can get your career balance right, sometimes it's actually about doing less. You're not hustling, or you're not having to hustle. You're not having to work excessive hours, which I did back in my corporate days. You know, I could go in the office at 7 a.m. and quite easily finish, I'm almost ashamed to say this, at like 11:30 at night. I once got locked in my office building because I left so late that my pass deactivated and I didn't realise. And I literally pushed a door to get out of my office, got stuck in a stairwell, 11:30 at night. That's not even dedication. That's not hard work. That's insanity. So for those of you that have got families, friends, children, lifestyles where you want to give your all and make a difference in the world, but you actually also want to have harmony, not even balance, because that's kind of like one or the other, but you want to have harmony in doing it. You want to spend more time with the kids. You want to see them at their play. You want to take them to school. You want to read to them before they go to bed. You want to show them what is possible for them, because whether you're a mother or a father, you know, mum or dad can do this, and so can you. You want to lead by example. It could be that you want to help your own parents. It could be that you want to help your own teenagers to become formed into, you know, fully fledged people. It could be that you want to inspire the people around you. You know, a lot of people that I work with when I'm looking at like career visibility is it's all about being a inspiration to the people around them too. So whatever that thing is, you really need to look at like the how of this, not how am I going to do it, but what needs to happen for me to get to this part. So important. So just going to read back the comments. And Susan from Canada says, people will follow your example, and if you're not working with a coach, why should they work with you? Susan, that's absolutely spot on. And it's funny because sometimes people think, but I'm not going to tell anyone that I'm not working with a coach. Hell, you know, I've been in business for 9.5 years. I've been there too. And you know what? It's a very different kettle of fish. When you think, well, I'm not going to say anything no one knows. On some level, people feel it. And they feel it because of how you navigate the world just doesn't become kind of aligned in a way. Doesn't feel like you're, you know, when you've got that flow state in that you're just doing it and you're not even having to think about it. It doesn't feel that way to you. And on some level, they know, they can tell. It's interesting for me, whenever I'm working with a coach, people often think that working with a coach is just about their own results. And it helps because of the way a coach works with you. When I work with a coach, the clients that I work with start going through, like, they've already been going through good transformation. They go through extraordinary transformation. So it is kind of palpable. I've only saying, gosh, yeah, that's so true. It's so true. And we were talking a little bit back there. Faye's on and she's saying good morning. And Susan's completely agreeing. Yes, they do feel it. They do absolutely feel it, and they know on some level. So even if you're working with people who don't run a business, for example, people who are looking like, let's take Ivona and Teresa in the area of relationships. Let's take Susan James, you know, somebody who helps people to really get their heart's desires. They will look to you for guidance. And if there's any kind of, you know, I talked a lot about the first step being clarity. If there's anywhere where you're not clear on what you're doing for yourself in the background, on some level, it will be harder to get them to their clarity point too, you know. So anyway, that's it for now. I've been on for about 25 minutes. And I want to say good morning to Tasha as well. Hey, Tasha. So I happen to know that Tasha is in the Manchester area of the UK. So we've all been putting where we're watching in from, Tasha and Faye. So really good to see you on here. Thank you so much. So those three things will give you a boost. So first thing, clarity. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, do go back to the replay or save this and go back and sort of watch bits and pieces of it in your break. So first piece is a clarity. Second piece is really acknowledging where your gaps are. Success leaves clues, and the final bit is success leaves clues, but also the gaps show symptoms as well. So finding out, what your gap is and being honest with yourself is number 2. And number 3 is looking at, well, what do I need to do next? Not how sometimes, because that can get us in a stumbling block, but what do I need to do about this? Is it more training? Is it coaching? Is it mentoring? Is it finding out how other people do something? Is it looking at how you can, like, almost, if you've gone for a goal and you've gone, I'm going to go here, is it looking at actually going up to here so that you can really expand what you're doing? So that's it for this week. As always, don't keep this a secret. Please do share this with people because it's important to know. And I had somebody say, but don't you worry, if somebody shares it, and what if the person they share it with, then come to work with you? Well, that doesn't happen normally in that way. Usually the person who has shared the video actually gets the kudos and gets the client in some strange way. That's not what this is about. This is about motivation. This is about a bigger platform. It's the reason that I do accept, and I do turn down some of the BBC gigs. It's the reason I accept it, so that this message can go out in front of a bigger audience so that they can do what they need to do. They can get motivated to do what they need to do. They can boost their careers. They can have more predictable visibility happening for them. And I share that through my predictable visibility system, otherwise known as the Vibe system. So thank you so much for watching. And if you are watching this and you're like, I so resonate with this, and I've got a huge symptom that's coming up and a huge gap, please either send a message to this page, or you can send a message. If you're registering for the Career Boost, there'll be an email that comes out from there. Just send me a message there, and I can send you a link where we can schedule a time to talk. Now, there is a bit of urgency this week around this, and here's why. If you're watching this live or on the replay, and it's still Monday the 18th, I'm actually going to be going on holiday next Sunday. I'm going to be going on holiday for 8 days, so I'm not going to be back until December, the Christmas month. So if this is something that you know that you want to get sorted, do it sooner rather than later, because in between all of that, I've got corporate clients that I'm looking out for, and I'm also booking up coaching sessions with my clients. So there might be space to do this, or there might not. And I don't want you to even not have the conversation. I'd love you to have the conversation so that you can at least see where the gaps are. And you know what? At the end of that conversation, I might not be the person you work with, which sometimes happens, and I just, can point you in a different direction or what you need to do next. But other times we get to work, like my juicy, lovely person who watches from very many miles away from the UK, who said, you know what, here's an area where I think I'm stuck in. What do you think I should do? I recommended a book, and I recommended some actions, and they coached with me. And with that, they've seen everything turn on its head, but in a great way. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Faye. Thank you, Teresha. Thank you, Ivona. Thank you, Tasha. Thank you, Ian. I'm going to say thank you to Alan, who I know will pop on this after he's finished doing his exercising. And thank you for those of you that are asking about my marathon training. It's going really well. I've gone from a non-runner to being able to run for 20 minutes and have a fairly good pace. So check this page. I will sporadically share little updates of my marathon training and my marathon journey. All ready for those 26.2 miles. So part of the story there is not to think about the whole thing, just to take it chunk by chunk. Good metaphor for life. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sharing this. And I look forward to speaking to some of you in more depth, either on tomorrow's career kickstart course, or you could call it a crank up of your career. And for those of you who I coach, and those of you who I'll be speaking to hopefully throughout this week, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your love and support. Bye for now.